In today's video, I'm continuing on the theme of people pleasing and exploring two different ways of being. One of them being the people pleaser that follows what the group or, does what the group is doing versus being part of a group where everyone is seen. So we'll jump right in, and I want you to imagine that you're a type of people pleaser that, it's like when you go out with friends or do things with other people, you kind of just follow along, you're easygoing. It's like, oh, I can do whatever, I'm open. And so it is nice and easy, and you just kind of go with the flow and, do what others do and enjoy what others enjoy. But when it comes to like you're hanging out with a friend, and like I had this one situation or one friendship where we started to get to know each other, and we were going out for dinners and getting to know each other. It was nice and enjoyable. Yet every time I was like, hey, what would you like to do? Is there restaurants you want to go to? Is there things you want to do? They never really had the things that they offered up, or never really had anything that they suggested or wanted to do. It was always whatever I wanted to do. And it really got to a point for me that it was disappointing, because I wanted to get to know them and get to know their interests and do things with them. And instead, I kind of felt like, oh, we're just doing what I want to do, and which I like my stuff, but when I'm hanging out with others, it's that nice dynamic of engaging with each other and sharing interests and sharing ideas and playing, being creative, whatever, in our friendships. And so when I got nothing there, I kind of, was like, oh, well, I want more engagement in my friendships, actually. But what I saw in that is that they they just, went along because possibly not wanting conflict, not wanting to not be liked. It's like, oh, I'll go along with what you like because I know that's what you like. So it's like, and not possibly being judged, or their ideas or their things might not be good enough, so they don't want to offer them up. So, like, here's one scenario of a situation where this person did want to, please or people please, or wanted to be liked. And so then imagine, we'll shift over to another, imaginary storyline here. And imagine that you actually are with others that offer up their interests, their opinions, their ideas, their things, and you share yours. Like, you have a passion or you have interests, you have things that you like doing, and you share it with others, and they share with you. And so you go out to dinners, or you go out to, gallery shows, whatever it is, things that are interests, and you do things together of these interests. And there's an openness, to the group, an openness of, oh, I'm curious what your interests are. Now, I don't have to take on those interests, like I don't have to be like, oh yeah, I'll, form myself to be equal to you in that interest. It's like, no, all you have to do is be curious and interested and listen, or I see you for those interests. Oh, okay, well, you guys go do those things now, or I go do this, or, and it's like you can have friendships where you don't have to do all these things together or share all these interests. And yet you respect each other. You have this kind of mutual respect for, these are your interests and these are my interests. And yeah, there are reasons we're friends. We have things that correlate and we do have similar interests. So what I offer up in this scenario is a different scenario where people are sharing their interests and not having to people please, but there's like a mutual respect or a mutual, like, I see you, I hear you. What I see in these two scenarios, the scenario of the people pleaser just following along, doing what others like, is that there's concerns, fears that they're not good enough, they're not meeting up to what others, they want to hang out with and be with and belong, but also fears of like around conflict, not wanting to have conflict, not wanting to offer up their own opinions or their ideas, because their ideas might be squashed. And it's like, oh, well, if other people squash my ideas, then that kind of squashes me. And it's like I'm too nervous about doing that, so instead I'll just latch on to what other people want or need. And yes, I tended to do this a lot in the past, and that was also a pattern I had of just, following along, doing what others wanted, but I was unsatisfied in that. So that's where this other story, this other situation of you being curious and having your passions and your joys, you actually light up more. Like when you're really being you and your authentic self, you are like, I'm happier in my life. So then other people will meet you there, and you'll have communities that are also interested in similar things. And you can share in that, in those interests, in those things, and, actually have an openness, a respect, again, like I said, seen and heard. So you're actually seen for who you are. And so, seeing those two scenarios, I think of two, like the people pleaser situation is like living in a place of I'm not believing I'm good enough, and out of fears and out of this lack kind of place, which really feels to me like a heavier ugh kind of feeling, versus the other side where it's like, oh, I actually get to live more authentically me. I get to be and do these things, and people see that, and I light up more. And so it's living more in a place of being true to yourself and, really having people see you for you, and more of, it feels lighter to me again versus the other one. So I also want to mention in the dialogue box below, I have a link to my coaching program, which does go into helping you step into this version of you, who you really want to be. So take a look at that down below. But really, become aware or notice are, again, like the video I was saying yesterday, like noticing, are there areas where you're people pleasing? Are there areas where you're, just kind of following along with what others do? And is that really satisfying in your life? Is that really what you want or who you want to be? And again, like for me, for years, I followed along and I felt like, oh, I'm such an easygoing person. And that was just my belief of like, yeah, I just go along with the flow. It's pretty easy, pretty nice. But there was this underlying like, but I'm not really fully satisfied. Yeah, I do enjoy when I'm with the friends and doing things, but was I really fully being seen or being heard or doing what my joys were? And then I stepped into a place of finding what was true in myself, what I loved, were the things I really wanted to do. And that actually took a while because I did not even realize in myself that I did not even have my own passions, because I took on everyone else's ideas of it. And were they really mine? Some things I was interested in, but it wasn't until I really started stepping into my truth that I then started to realize, oh, these are my interests. And I'm now attracting those people. And again, we can share our interests, we can talk, and we can be mutually met with curiosity, with, joy, with like, oh, that's interesting. And we don't have to be like, oh, that's interesting, and take it on. Instead, it's like, oh, that's interesting. That's your opinion. That's your being. And I respect that in you. And it's not mine, or possibly not mine. Or maybe there is some things that we relate to in it. So again, this is just relating to like one storyline or situations, within people pleasing. I know as well there's other things around boundaries, and always saying yes to things and exploring that side of it as well, which I'll go into in different ways in the videos or in the next couple of videos. So thank you for joining me today. I'm AmyC with You Finding You. And again, if you are enjoying these videos, do hit that like, share, and subscribe button below. And thank you. I'll see you in the next video.